This is the Ronbus R3 Pulsar. It's the new thermoform paddle that Ronbus is planning to release at the end of the month. Like all the other thermoform paddles, it will have a unibody design with injected edge foam in the perimeter. If you haven't heard of Ronbus, it's a small company that's current lineup of paddles are one of the best non-thermoformed raw carbon fiber paddles you can get at its price. For $100 after a discount code, they perform just as good if not better than several of the more expensive carbon fiber options. They currently have the R1, R2, and R3 paddles. They're all very good control paddles with great spin, good touch, and overall very solid build quality. What separates the three are just the shapes. The R1 is like the Hyperion, the R2 has more of a circular shape with a shorter handle, and the R3 is your traditional elongated paddle. If you're not a fan of thermoform paddles and are just in the market for a regular carbon fiber paddle, it's hard to find a better option than Ronbus at $100. Now onto the R3 Pulsar, this will be their first thermoform paddle. As you can see spec-wise, it's nearly identical to the Carbon 1X. Both are elongated with a length of 16.5 inches and a width of 7.25 inches. And at the time of this video, these are actually the only two thermoform paddles that have a 5.5 inch handle. All the other brands have their handles at 5.4, 5.3 or less. So if you do have larger hands or want a longer handle, both of these paddles could be a good option. However, the R3 Pulsar is far from a Carbon 1X clone. In fact, in my experience, compared to all the other thermoform paddles, the Pulsar is noticeably one of the softest and most plush. Differences between paddles of the same shape like the Carbon 1X and the Vatic V7, or the Vatic Flash 16mm and the 60 Double Black Diamond have always been noticeable but small. The Pulsar compared to the other elongated paddles was very different in my experience in terms of how it felt and its power. It was the least stiff out of all the other brands, and even after playing over a 3-week period, including one tournament, I found the power to be on the lower end. That's not to say that the Pulsar didn't have any power. It was just more soft relative to the other thermoform paddles, but it still had more power and a stiffer feel than the non-thermoformed ones, like the Ronbus R1 or the SLK Halo. I would compare its power to my Vatic Flash 16mm before I added lead tape to it. Now, this isn't a pro or a con, it's more dependent on what you prefer. I know some people haven't enjoyed the thermoform paddles as much because of their stiffer feel and higher power, so the Pulsar could be a great option for them. Its lower power actually makes the paddle a bit more versatile in a way. For me, I never found the need to add lead tape to my Carbon 1X, V7, or Legacy. For the Pulsar, I was able to experiment more with adding lead tape to adjust the power more to my liking, and this made me enjoy the paddle a lot more. If you are someone that likes to experiment with lead tape, the Pulsar definitely provides the flexibility for that. With lead tape on the sides, protective tape over the top and over the lead, plus an overgrip, I added around 0.4 ounces of total weight, and this bumped up the power significantly to where I felt more comfortable. For its speed, I rank its swing weight up at the top with the Carbon 1X. This was to be expected as they are both elongated with longer handles, though adding the lead tape also increased the swing weight even more. In terms of spin, I've always mentioned in videos how I don't have any tools and usually I can't tell the difference between these carbon fiber paddles. But the Pulsar is one of the highest in my experience. I noticed my drives dipping down more aggressively than other paddles, and I've been able to force mistakes from people with topspin drops. The sweet spot is similar to the other thermoform paddles. I find you can still get decent power on off-center shots, and overall I haven't had any issues with it. Ultimately, I think the R3 Pulsar is a great addition to the thermoform paddle market. It isn't a clone of any of the current paddles and has its own niche. If you want an elongated paddle with a 5.5 inch handle that has less of a stiff feel and less power than the other thermoform paddles, I would recommend checking out the Pulsar when it releases on April 30th. Otherwise, if you do want a soft non-thermoform paddle, I recommend checking out Ronbus's current paddle lineup of the R1 through R3. I've linked my discount code in the video description, which will get you $20 off your order from the Ronbus website. I've also added a link for Rcoin, which will let you reserve a spot for new Ronbus products before they are released.
Finish him!